Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Tech Savvy Code. This episode is going to be all about how to make an HTML resume webpage. And this is going in tangent with my Instagram page. So if you aren't following me on Instagram, this is the opportunity to sign up now or to follow me uh, at Tech Savvy Code. This project is all about learning how to use HTML. And if you're following me on Instagram, you would know that it is the month of HTML. And why not do a project so that you can actually practice the things that I post? Here are your materials. And we're going to go through all four of them before we start to code. So you need some type of resume. I would use your own. In this example, I'm going to just use a sample that I found from monster.com. You need an editor, specifically a coding editor that can understand HTML, a code reference, and we're going to use a specific website so that we can refer to code because no one, not even a full programmer, can fully remember every single syntax there is. So you just want to make sure you have a reference to look back on just to make sure that you are writing the code correctly. And then last but not least, is a site that allows you to get free images so you don't have to worry about copyright issues. So let's talk about the resume that I'm going to use. So this resume I found from monster.com. And so I'm just going to use this resume as my reference point to create a resume using HTML. You can use your own or you can just find a sample. The next one is the editor. The editor that we will be using is called repl.it. And you want to make sure that you sign up. You can go to repl.it at the top, either sign in with Google or sign in with your own email address, and you can get started that way. The third thing is a reference point. I love w3schools.com. So if you go straight to w3schools.com/HTML, it gives you more code than you actually need for this assignment or this project. And the page that we're going to go to will be HTML basic. And it has all of the basic tags that I've actually posted in Instagram as well. So we're going to use these tags to build our resume. The other thing we're going to add, I might add some extra tags along the way for formatting purposes if they're easy to do. All right, so let's get started. I forgot to mention our free website source for images will be Pixabay. I love this website. This website allows you to get images for free. Either you give credit to the artist or the artists don't even care, and you can use them without copyright issues. So I do love this website. All right, so let's get started. I'm going to go to my editor. I'm going to create a new REPL. You click on that little blue button and you're going to look for HTML, CSS, JS to build this project. I'm going to name mine sample resume and then press create. All right, so a couple of things will appear. On the left side will be where all of our files will go. So when I download an image, this is where I'm going to put the image in this file section. The middle is where we will write our code, and then on the right side is the output. So what our website is going to look like once we add some code to it. I'm going to move some things around just so I have more space to code. I'm going to hide the file section until I need it, and then space this out. Now, this is a lot of starting code. Some of it you don't need for this project. So if you want to minimize the confusion, just for now, we're going to get rid of the metadata, which is line 4 and 5. I'll keep title, and I'll explain where you can see title. We're going to get rid of link, which will link to a CSS style sheet, which is all a design thing, which will be for next month. So we'll learn CSS in a few weeks. And then we are also going to get rid of this script tag. This script tag is JavaScript, and it's the coding language that goes along with HTML and CSS. You should have left is the body with nothing in it, and then this basic structure for a HTML web page. So all of these tags are normally used as your core basic skeleton structure, and anything else that you add past this or after this is considered just a smarter web page. Okay, so let's get started. I want to take a look at my resume so that I can figure out how I would want to format this information. So first off, the thing about HTML that you should know is that HTML is designed to just format it. It's like overly complicated way to just say Google Docs. So depending on the tag that you decide to use, it will just do, different things. So I can add a specific tag to make it bold. I can add a specific tag to add the bullet point. I can also do a different tag to do an italic, and I can actually use a combination of all of those tags together. So I am going to just go ahead and copy and paste everything in this resume into my editor. I'm going to resize this just so it's a little bit smaller so that you can see more. Okay. Now, what you will learn is that HTML is a markup language, and if you just place text inside of there, that's how it's going to process it. Even though this text is on different lines and things like that, it will just read it all as just one big large line of text. So we have to apply tags to be able to do different things. The first thing I'm going to do though, before I apply those tags, is to see what type of sections I have. So I'm going to quickly figure out what the sections are. And I might actually need to go back to the resume itself. So this was in one section, education. Okay. And when we get down here, we'll figure out, because this just looks jumbled. Highlights, looks like one. And let me go back. Experience and highlights. Okay, perfect. All right, so if you notice when I press run again, it doesn't really change anything. It's just for me to organize the text to know what goes where. And I'm actually going to also tab this inward for formatting purposes. Let's take a look at all of the HTML tags that you could possibly use. For big sections, I would use headings. Normally you would do H1 as like the biggest heading, and you can go between H1 to H6. So you can decide to do whatever way you want for your sections. And then let's also take a look. I don't know if you notice these faint lines, but we can also add these faint lines in HTML too. So let's go ahead and section things off with the faint lines before we add the headers. So the faint lines, to add a line, it's called HR, which stands for horizontal. So I'm going to add an HR line between the sections. And if you notice, I'm going to press run multiple times to see where the HRs go. So I'm going to put one there. I'm going to copy this too. I'm going to put one here to kind of mimic. Yep. One here. Key skills. So if you notice the trend, there's an HR above and below each section. So those are the only sections. You can add as many as you want, but I'm just following the sample resume. Now I'm going to go ahead and format in order. So Robin Young is a name. I would probably try to do an H2. Not the biggest, but the second biggest. And if you notice, HR didn't need a closing tag. There are a handful of tags where you don't actually need to close them. You just need to say it once and it understands that it's closed after it does that command. But with things that have text in them, you need to know when to start and when to end. And so H2 contains Robin Young, which is text. So you start with the H2 tag and you have to end with the H2 tag to know where the formatting should end. All right, let's go to the next one. I think for the other stuff, I'm going to place paragraph tags around them. Let's see. So P tags are standard text tags. So they have the same size as they look without using a tag, but the difference is that they also break a line, so they go on a different line. So I'm gonna do that for both of these to take a look at if I like that. The only downfall is if you don't want the spacing between these two paragraphs, we could just create one big paragraph. So I'm going to get rid of the ending of this paragraph and the beginning of this paragraph. So it's just one big one. And all of the address information will be in one big paragraph. But if I want to break it in between, we can also use a BR tag that does not require a closing tag at the beginning of the line that I want to break between. So less spacing. So I think I like that. I'm going to keep it like this. Just going to format just so that you, for reference purposes. All right. If you guys noticed as well, everything is centered. You can choose to keep everything centered if you want. But I think what I'll do is just have this top portion centered. And then the things that are in between two HR tags as centered as well, which is like the title section. So to center something, there are actually center tags. So you have to have a closing and an opening center tag. So we're going to start off with the opening. So I want Robin Young and the address to be centered. So I'm going to put the center tag above Robin Young, and then I'm going to close it after the paragraph tag. And then I'm going to just tab these things inside of center because it just helps me understand what's in what. So I'm going to press run. And now everything is centered. All right. If you want the entry-level administrative assistant to be centered as well, you can do a combination of center tags and an H. Let's say H3 tag for this section. I think I'm going to do all sections as H3s. So you can do the H3 first. Open, close. And then you can put the center, you can wrap the center around it. And I'm just going to tab this inward because it's just for formatting for me to know. All right, I like that. Let's move on. I think everything inside of the administrative sentence section is just going to be a big paragraph. So I'm going to do an open P at the beginning and a closing P at the end. And then tab the text inside of it so that I know that it's inside of that. Doesn't do anything specifically, it just allows me to format the text. Some people might ask, well, why am I using p tags if it already shows the same format? It's important because if you ever learn CSS and JavaScript, which are the design and the brain side or the coding side of web design, you need to have tags attached to text in order to make any changes. So in the future, if I wanted to change this paragraph and make it a different color, I couldn't change the color if I didn't have these paragraph tags because HTML wouldn't know what to talk to. So that's why they're useful. All right, so my education section, I'm going to replicate the same thing I did with entry level administrative assistant. So do H3. Center. And you want to just make sure that you pair them correctly. So if I start with if I start with an open center, then an open H3, then I have to close the H3 first and then close the center. So it's I don't know what's the pattern. It's out in, so out in, and then when you close it's in out. So it's like reversed on the other side. I'm gonna run. Okay, that looks good. So this stuff looks like it's on different lines. So I can just do one massive P tag and then add breaks in it. Same pattern. So just want to make sure that you stay consistent. I think that's a good habit to form, is to be consistent with whatever website or web page that you're building. That way it gives the customer or whoever is viewing your website an idea of how um, how the flow of your website, or how it can work for readability purposes. So I'm just keeping the same pattern like before. We go through a p tag for each thing, and breaks for things that you want to break. So I noticed this section right here, when I copied and pasted it, it was in the wrong section. So I'm gonna move this up to the section that says relevant courses under education, and the we'll make the bullet point list in a few minutes after I get everything else formatted. Okay, I think I added enough BR and P tags that I need, centers and H3s as well. I can also click on this button on the top right to see a full screen, and everything looks good until we start doing the bullet points. So let's work on the bullet points now. So we want to create bullet points here. And the way it works, and also here in the education section, we won't do them side by side because that requires us to learn some CSS. So we're just gonna put it stacked, kind of just like down here. So to create bullet points, first off, we use a combination of two different tags. So I'm gonna scroll to this education section, and find where I want to start my bullet points. So these are the executive assistants. I think this is one word. Yeah. Or one sentence. Okay. So these are the 2, 4, 6 things that I want to add bullet points to. So first off, you're gonna wrap. Bullet points are unordered lists, meaning they have no numbers. So you're gonna put UL at the beginning of the bullet point list, and then close the UL at the end of the list. I'm gonna press run. And what you'll notice is now everything is just tabbed in, but there are no bullet points. To create the bullet points, you need to add not LI. To create the bullet points, you need to add LI, which stands for list item. So each item that you want has to have a beginning LI tag and a closing LI tag for each. So I'm gonna press run, and you'll notice there's only one bullet point. So HTML needs to know where to add a bullet point, and it will add a bullet point based off of adding an LI and closing the LI at the end of each list item. So I'm going to do that. All right. The only other things I would say are to make certain things bold and italic, and add a break for formatting anywhere that you find that you need more breaks to. So things that I want to make bold are anything that has the colons at the end, like highlights, office skills, computer skills. I want to make that bold. So I'm going to find each of those sections, and I'm going to add a B tag to those sections. So a B tag requires an open and a closing tag. I'm going to press run so you can see relevant courses is bold now, which is different from a heading tag. It just makes the text bold. So I'm going to do that for all of them. Anything that has a colon attached to it. Okay. And then this looks like a model or something that I want to emphasize. So I'm going to find that quickly. Become a trusted assistant known for a can-do attitude. So there are 2 tags you can use to emphasize. One is I, or the other is EM. I'm gonna just use I. I makes more sense to me. I just stands for italic. So I'm gonna scroll down, and this is emphasized now. I'm gonna put this in full screen. It already is, so I'm gonna just reload it. Take a look again. And I think I like the format. There are other things that you can do, but this is just the basics. And oh, we forgot our picture and our link, because you guys should try to know how to do that. So if you guys notice at the top, there is a section that says LinkedIn URL. So let's create a link where that is, which is here. So I'm not gonna go to anybody's specific LinkedIn. I'm just gonna go to the linked. Can't even spell LinkedIn. I'm gonna go to just the website itself. So LinkedIn.com. I'm gonna copy the address to this, and to create a URL, you're gonna do an A tag. Say href equals quotation marks and paste the link that you want to go to. Then what you want to do is you need to add some text. So I'm going to say linked, linked in I'm just put LinkedIn. And then you have to close the A tag. So it's a sandwich. So you start off with the address of the link, then you put the text of what the link that is going to be clickable, the text that'll be clickable, and then you close the A tag. I'm going to press run, and now if you click on this, it gives you a sad face. It's just because of the editor. But if I run this in full screen, if I click on it now, it'll take me to LinkedIn. So let me go back. So that's how you add a link. And then last but not least, let's add a photo. I think I want to put the photo above the person's name. And so I'm going to go to pixabay.com and I'll just look for person or woman. Okay, let me just grab this picture. And once you select the picture, you're going to press free download. You press download. You're not a robot. You just need to verify that. Mountains are going to rename this to woman so that it's shorter. Then I'm going to go back to Replit. And if you notice down at the bottom, I have my download. So I'm going to click on the files and drag the file here. Now, if you can't drag, the other way to upload is to click the three dots and then click on upload file. And then you can choose the file from there. All right, once you add the file, it's not automatically in the web page. You actually have to use the IMG tag. So you're going to say IMG, you're going to say IMG. You're going to say IMG SRC equals quotation marks. And then the name of the image, woman, but you also have to put the file type, which is .jpg, the same way it's written. If they had caps, you need to make sure you put capital letters too, because it's case sensitive. Then you close it by just adding a note and ending by just adding an angled bracket at the end. I'm gonna press run. The picture is huge, so we are going to resize it by saying width equals and then a number. This is the number of pixels, so 1 is too tiny. So I would start around about 200. And there we go. Let's do this in full screen. And you just made your first web page. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. I will also put the link of this code in the description section so that you can interact with it. And I look forward to seeing you soon in another video.